Hey everybody, it's 547 week number 3. Welcome back. So, change of scenery. We're staying with some relatives. Our house is being fumigated. So, as though being an educator isn't challenging enough in 2022, yeah, so I am here. I feel like I need to go back to our week 1 and give you the analogy that is top of mind for me. Remember the discussion board? This is going to feel like forever ago. It was a full week ago. The brain is like termites. Because once you get that idea kind of stuck in your head, you're just like, you own it, right? Like I'm thinking of Inception. Do you know this movie? If so, you're like, yes, this analogy works. Like once you kind of get the idea of what's possible in education or like a certain way of thinking about a thing, you just need to run with that idea until it happens. That happens to me sometimes. Like when I realized that I didn't have to follow the textbook when I was teaching second grade, that I could actually pivot based on my students' interests, um, based on what I thought was possible with technology, like making movies, short videos, music videos, writing songs together, kind of you name it. Um, Once I realized you could do that, and then watching students be more engaged, it's been hard for me to go back to that. In fact, I really haven't. I moved to a school where they don't live by the textbook. In fact, we have very few textbooks at our school. Um, that's part of the reason why, right? And I feel like for a lot of reasons, it's if you know the movie Inception, you're super with me on this. If not, the brain is like termite infestation, but in a good way. Once you get that idea, like once it's taken root, you might get some other termites have kind of gone in and chewed a little and kind of kept going. But man, once it's in, it's in. I've had that happen as an educator a lot. Um, yeah, but we are going back soon. We'll have a termite-free house, as will our neighbors in our townhome unit. So, yay for that. This week, there's a lot of little things. Be sure and give yourself enough time to go through some of those. We have a couple videos walking you through what the brain is like. One is from Khan Academy. A second video, kind of similar thing, walking through kind of the anatomy of the human brain. Both of those are about 8 years old, but again, like we had a kind of a big bump of learning about the brain. In the last 10 years, it's not been as significant. So some of these older resources are still fantastic. There is an article, 10 pages, including citations at the end, teaching the basic science of educational psychology to future teachers. So take a read through that. That pairs well with your SUSE text. And then right after that, you have something from pewtrusts.org, which I think really summarizes this course really well, how you actually implement neuroscience in the classroom. Like the goal, like I said in our week 1 video, is our job as educators is to change the brains of our students. Like physically, right? Things get rewired. And so actually looking at the neuroscience as an educator is so valuable. So I think you're going to really enjoy that article. And then you have a little bit of a little test. It's like 10 questions. Almost reminds me of those older like MySpace quizzes, like which Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle are you? But it's about left brain and right brain. I think that these can be useful as long as they're paired with other things. I think that if you hear educators talking about, oh, like I'm a left brain person, so I can't do anything creative, or I'm a right brain person, so I'm bad at responding to emails. Like that's not the spirit of this at all. I took it again. I always take it whenever I am teaching this course, and I am 50-50 right now, which I think fits both with kind of how I approached music. My undergrad is in music, and I think really good musicians are a really interesting mix of like really like deeply critical of what they're writing and of what they're recording and of what they're performing, and also incredibly creative to like have a thing come to life. quick story. I think my favorite example of this was Robert Trujillo, who, so I was working at Orange Whip Recording Studios in Santa Barbara, like 2001, 2002. After college, I was a high school youth minister for a year out of college, and then was working in a recording studio. And for one day, Robert Trujillo booked some time, and this dude now, he's been almost since that time. He's the bass player in Metallica, and he came in working on a solo album, and came in. He had his hair braided like down to his knees, just like he looks like a dude that plays in a metal band. It was right before he joined Metallica. Working on his bass album. That was mostly just drums and bass, but there'd be like 8 bass guitars playing, and normally there's one. There's almost always just one bass guitar. Like 8 bass guitars. It was unbelievable to hear what he was working on. But he comes in, and I very much jumped to like, oh, like this dude like plays in bands, he tours, and kind of lives that lifestyle of, like let's party and, play shows, getting home like at 3 a.m. Walks in like super laid back guy, gets his bass set up, plugs in, we bring up the session in Pro Tools to record him. He's like, sits up, his posture is like perfect. All right, let's go. He plays it perfectly, which I had never seen. Normally you're like, every 5 seconds, you're like, pause it, let's redo that section, and you're doing like 5 times. So recording like a bass for one song can often take you about 6 hours to get it just right. He plays through it flawlessly. Flawlessly. All right, new track, let's do another one. Plays a variation, which if you know how bass guitars work, like this is not a thing that people do when they're recording. Plays it again, like slightly different version, but almost the same. Again, flawless. It's like, all right, great, let's go to the next song. Load it up. All right, go. As serious as you could be. And then a couple of years later, I ended up seeing him on some award show Metallica was playing. And sure enough, like his bass is like down to his knees, and he's like hunched over, and he still has like these super long braids, and he's like whipping his hair all around. And so I think if you just looked at that without knowing the skill, you'd be like, oh, like this guy's just like a metalhead, just playing the bass. Horrible posture. But like knew how to perform. And then when he's recording, he moved from that right brain, really creative, expressive performer to really left brain, really serious, like I was afraid to cough in the room, kind of serious, really left brain. And so I think all of us use a lot of those all the time. Just be wary when you see people say, oh, I'm only this, or my students are only that. That's not the purpose. That takes it out of context. You'll get a lot of that in your SUSE text and also in some of these videos. So your first prompt is actually responding to that test. It's about a minute long, and you're going to write a reflection. It says 1 page maximum, please 1 page maximum. Like a solid paragraph or 2 smaller paragraphs is about what you want for prompt number 1. You're going to share what percentages you got, and just reflect on it. Were you surprised? Do you think that this impacts your teaching, your style of teaching? How might this impact your students? And then give us some details. So, as with all discussion board posts, initial post is due Thursday. At least 2 responses by the following Sunday. You have another prompt. You're going to share kind of based on your learnings and readings and watchings. I don't know. We're just going with it at this point. What do you do when you watch a video from the YouTube's watchings? I don't know. But you're going to share a strategy you've learned that you plan to use. So I know a lot of you are early in your career, more so than most people in this program. So it's going to be like a kind of as you're getting started in your career, how you can use some of this knowledge to help you think through what you're going to teach, how you're going to teach, and how it will impact your students in good and bad ways. And then finally, you have a third prompt. This one's a little bit tricky, so be sure, well, if you're watching this video, great. I was going to say, be sure and watch the video, which you are doing. You Also, just read through the description both in the discussion board posts and in the Google Doc, which was actually from last week and this week, the group integration project. So your goal is to post your group integration project slides into the discussion board. It's going to go into the board by Thursday before midnight. Only one person needs to respond, so figure out who's going to post that. And then you're going to respond to at least 2 other groups by Sunday before midnight. So that's kind of the first part. Similar to how, like, if we were in person doing a synchronous class, you would actually stand up with your class, you click through the slides, and then people would offer up some feedback, some questions, some wondering, some connections. It wouldn't just be like, all right, great, next. The way we would do it in class is you would present, we'd have a little discussion about it, next group present, have a little discussion around it. So this is emulating that. The neat thing about this, though, is that you're able to do it from any location in the world. You're able to do it within a time frame. I was going to say like on your own time, but it has to be either Thursday night, but really like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But you get a 72-hour window to be able to respond. And then, sometimes in a large group setting it can be kind of intimidating to provide feedback to the whole class and the group. So this allows you to do that in a way that if you are not a louder person, you're able to do. So that's where it goes for part 1. Strongly encourage you to either upload a PowerPoint or a PDF. PDF tends to preserve the formatting in a better way. That presentation goes to a second place. Right, so you get points for the discussion board prompt. You also get points for actually submitting it as a slide deck. So it gets submitted under Submit Assignments. It's a good place for it, right? So under Course Items, Submit Assignments. It's also under Week 3. It is the Group Integration Project presentation. So depending on when you're watching this, the paper is due at the end of Week 2, Sunday by midnight, like most things. The presentation needs to be submitted, both the discussion board and under Submit Assignments, by Thursday. So for us, it's Thursday, January 27th by midnight. Again, I recommend you doing a PDF and uploading that. It's going to keep the formatting the right way. Please do not provide a link for either of them. Links are not accepted. It needs to be an actual file that gets submitted to Blackboard. So make sure that gets set up. And that is it for week number 3. Thanks for listening. Reach out as you have questions, and enjoy what I love the week 3 topic. The only bullet point is the amazing brain. So enjoy the amazing brain, and happy week 3, everybody.